That's my mother-in-law. My mother came, she was 16, 17. She also came from Europe, from Hungary. And she came to two brothers. And of course she lived with one, and then she got an apartment. At any rate, they went to work as dressmakers. So my mother sits here, and another woman sits there, and my uncle Joe was a presser. He pressed whatever it was. And my mother and this woman got very friendly. And also, and the years went by. They parted. Many years went by. One day, my mother opens the door, and she sees this woman coming up. It was Sophie. It was my mother, with her children and her husband. That was the woman she sat next to.
Oh, wow.
When they were 16 and 17 years old. And that's how I met my husband.
That's amazing.
Now I'll go back. So when my mother-in-law went with this man and he parted, that was the end of that. My sister becomes engaged. Those years when you became engaged, everyone in the family made dinners. So my mother-in-law invited my sister and her boyfriend and my mother and father, of course, for dinner. The minute they come into my mother-in-law's house, she looks at my sister's boyfriend. She says, "It's your father, Charlie Gill." That was the man on the boat.
Oh, wow.
Would you believe it?
Small world.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And the boyfriend was Saul, who was Aunt Pearl's husband
It was my
for
sister's husband.
ever.
He just died 2 years ago. So that's life. You can say a mountain to a mountain could meet, and they do. We came downstairs. He was there with his friends, I with my friends. You mingle, and somehow or other, we remained together. And when he graduated high school, they moved to the Bronx. My mother-in-law, they opened up a grocery store. And from there on, he would travel back and forth, back to Brooklyn to Bronx. And that's how it was.
How did he propose to you? Do you remember?
It's no proposal. It was like a given. You grew up together.
So you just kind of knew, like, we're getting married. You just kind of, like, that was what was going to happen?
It was wartime, too, already. It was hard times.
And what did Grandpa do during the war?
What?
What did Grandpa do during the war?
She was home. Those years women didn't work. My mother didn't work.
What about Grandpa High? What did Grandpa High do during the war?
Grandpa?
Yeah.
It was a hard life. He worked also in this men's factory that seasons. So when there was no season, he had no work, so it was not so good. The children today don't know about these things.
And how did my dad? How did my dad?
Your dad went. He was 6 months old when they took my husband for the service. So I lived with my mother.
And where did Grandpa go?
He was a Seabees. That's the equivalent to the engineers in the army. They built up pontoons and such. But fortunately, he never went overseas.
And
so when Daddy was 6 months old, he was stationed in Providence. So that's where I went to live there for about 6-7 months.
I've seen pictures of Grandpa holding Dad, and he's in a uniform. I've seen pictures of Grandpa in a uniform holding little baby daddy, little my dad as a baby, which is, I can't picture Dad without a mustache, so it's very weird.
In the storage room, there were pictures.
Mm-hmm. And did Dad always get along with Uncle Jeff growing up?
We all got along.
Really?
There was no sibling rivalry by us. It was a very nice, peaceful house. My sister had 2 daughters, up and down the stairs. It was one house.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think what else to ask. What did Grandpa worked as a photographer? Is that correct?
Daddy had a lot of jobs. He was a sewing machine mechanic. And then he took a test for the city. And I still remember it. It started at $23.85 a year.
Wow.
Huh.
Yes. Wow. And we were so happy. Like a pig in a poke. But he worked himself up to be a supervisor. He went to school, took some college credits too in between. And then when he retired, he went to teach. But he went to a very bad school where they were throwing, he came into the class, the kids were undisciplined. They were throwing chairs around and whatnot. He came home, he says, "Why do I need this?" And he never went back. So he retired as a supervisor. And made inventions to correct things that were going on. I wish I had it. I gave Jeffrey home a whole case.
I remember that case.
He left it in a taxi or somewhere. All the honors that he got from the city. They paid him even too for that.
Okay, Grandma, so which of your 3 children helped most around the house growing up?
Helped around the house?
Yeah.
They all chipped in.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
But growing up, when he was younger.
When Bernice Meadow, he built that back porch.
No. I'm talking about when he was little, in the house with you and Grandpa and Aunt.
He had friends.
Judy. Okay.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice.
Which of the 3 of them was a troublemaker?
What's the what?
A troublemaker. Which one got into trouble? Were they were all angels? Dad, Aunt, Uncle Jeff, and Aunt Judy growing up, all angels, all perfect children.
They're not perfect. No one's perfect.
Okay.
Each child's an individual. And you work around each child.
Yeah. So you and Aunt Pearl lived in the house with Bubby. Where did Uncle Sam live?
They did another area.
Okay. They lived close by though, right?
Close by. It was within Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, yeah. Everyone lived together.
What is it from your life that you are most proud of?
My 3 children. Nice, thank God. Went in a good way. Everything.
Yeah. There's something.
And we tried to give each other space. Not to.
You didn't really do a good job with that, because every time I would come down here to see you, there's Uncle Sam, there's Aunt Pearl, and Uncle Saul. Like, you guys seem to just know where each other is and just sort of gravitate towards. It's beautiful.
We were the talk of the place. 3 siblings to live at one place at this age of life.
Yeah. So when did you and Grandpa decide to move down to Florida? Like,
Well-
what made you decide to move down to Florida?
My parents wintered, and my in-laws wintered in Florida. So instead of going to Italy or France or what, we only knew one way to go to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's how our minds were.
That's how we grew up too. I
So-
didn't know you were allowed to vacation
So he
anywhere
wanted-
else.
My husband wanted to go to when he was 65, he was ready to go. And I left little children yet, little grandchildren. And one day I said, you know what? You can't fight with him. Resist. So we had a lot of friends in Kings Point. I don't know if you ever heard of a place.
No.
It was a very big community. And every time I came to Florida, I would visit them, you must. One year we weekend and we bought. And we didn't live there. We rented it out. And then after a while I said to myself, he's begging to go. I better go while the going is good. So all the way down, I think Michelle was 2 years old, and all the way down I cried. He says, you don't like it, we'll go back. What's not to like?
And the pool was always
So
crowded.
We lived a year and a half in this Kings Point. It was a tremendous place. I like a small place where I could be something. So we heard of this place where I moved to in Boca, and I stayed there 32 years. My husband there was 5 sections. We lived in Greenleaf, and he was Mr. Greenleaf. He was involved in everything. He loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, you were involved with everything too.
Huh?
You were involved with everything too.
I was, of course.
Yeah. So did you work growing
Yes,
when Dad was little?
I worked.
What did you do?
I was a bookkeeper in charge of an office.
And so while you were working, did the kids come home?
I started
Was it a
to work-
full-time job?
Judy was 8 years old when I used to do part-time. And I was always home by 3 o'clock. They would come up, Ma, but I knew my mother was home, or Aunt Pearl was home.
Oh, okay. That makes
What's your best food to make? What is your signature recipe? What is your favorite food that you make?
My favorite what?
Meal, the food that you cook.
What are the grandma's specialties?
She made very good split potato soup.
You make the
She
split
made
pea
everything
soup.
good. Everything. She baked. She did everything.
Yeah,
Like your mother-in-law. She does everything.
not like you did. No.
Would you like a cup of coffee?
So talk about Uncle Sam.
When he was 17, he went to work for Marietta. There was a high school in New York in the industrial trades, something in aviation trades. So he went to work for Marietta. That was an airplane company somewhere in Baltimore. And at 17, he left. We always said to my mother, years like, how did you allow a 17-year-old to go to another state to fend for himself? And he did. Came back. The war was already going on, and he was in the Navy, but also never went overseas. But when he came back, he went to work for a company called United Metal. They made cabinets in the tool room, in the bottom. Worked himself up a little. Then the company moved to Pennsylvania, and he bought out the company. So How did he buy it out? He went around to all the friends, $1,500 from each one to accumulate. Would you believe it? I couldn't afford it.
Wow.
To give him $1,500. That's how times were. My sister gave, and he bought out that company. You know who bought them out?
Who?
Rubbermaid.
Really?
So I don't have to tell you anymore. But the millions that went there.
Yeah. Wasn't there a little saying like, you know, when you see a garbage can, you kick the can and Uncle Sam makes some money?
He needed money, sure. He needed to accumulate cash.
Yeah.
But, another nice incident, when he was going for his first job, my mother said to him, "Give me your hand." You shake hands, you shake nothing.
Mm.
So many years later, he was honored by his association. What do you think he told them? "I'm here because of that firm handshake my mother showed me how to do." My mother was quite a woman, nice lady.
Yeah.
My father was more passive.
And they came over from Europe?
Yeah, my father came from what was then Czechoslovakia. My mother from Hungary.
And where did they meet?
Hmm?
Where did they meet?
Where they lived?
Where do they meet?
Where did they meet?
Oh, you know what Simchas Torah is? The holiday.
Oh, Simchas Torah, yeah.
They all get together. So she met him at that gathering.
Ah.
Very good man. Very good father. I had a good upbringing. Nice background.
Did you and Aunt Pearl have to share a bedroom growing up?
We shared a bed. And my brother slept on a cot in front of the bed.
Oh my God.
Those were different times. Children do not believe these things.
Yeah.
To share a bed with Aunt Pearl.
But in our way, we were happy.
Aunt Pearl's name wasn't Aunt Pearl. She changed it to Pearl, didn't she?
What?
Didn't Aunt Pearl change her name to Aunt Pearl?
No, her name was Anna. Oh, my name was not Mildred.
What?
It was Margaret.
I'm sorry. What? Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm learning this now?
Right.
We've been calling you Millie all these years and that's not your
But
name?
Legally, it's Mildred now.
Unbelievable.
That's
Hello,
how my
lady.
mother was so, my mother said,
Hello.
"Oh, girl." She was Margaret. That's the world.
So you were Margaret. Did Grandpa ever call you Margaret?
No.
Did anyone ever call you
She
Margaret?
may have called me Margaret when I was till 6.
And then you just decided Millie sounded better?
They used to call me by my Jewish name better, not Margaret.
So, okay. I didn't know we were allowed to do this. So did you pick out Millie? Was that something you picked out?
That's how it came.
Did you and Pearl just decide one day, you sat each other down and was like, all right, you're Pearl, I'm Millie, and that's it?
I have no idea with the Emperor how that was changed.
Was Uncle Sam always Uncle Sam, or did he
Yes,
change his
no,
name
he was
from
Sam.
from?
Samuel.
Okay, Samuel. Yeah. Okay. I don't know who I'm talking to anymore. My gosh, Margaret, and now you're Millie. Was Dad always Marty, or did he pick that name?
Martin. Oh, I still call him Martin.
I know you do. You're the only one I know that calls him Martin. He always sounds like he's in trouble because you call him Martin instead of Marty.
And Jeffrey was always Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm. Who is Dad named after?
My mother-in-law's father.
And who is Uncle Jeff named after?
I have a Bible that's written down.
Okay.
The name who they're named after and their Jewish name.
That's good. That way, if you're ever tested, you have a cheat sheet.
I better watch what I say. It's going to be held against me.
Yes.
I'm just floored by this whole name thing. Was Grandpa always High? Did he change his name from like Steve to High?
He was Hyman.
Hyman. Yeah.
He was a nice man.
Yeah.
I had a good marriage.
What did you like best about Grandpa? What did you like best about Grandpa?
We agreed on everything. He was he's not a forceful man, but he was a good man, and he got there wherever he wanted. A hard-working man.
Did you date anyone?
He had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Worked 3 jobs.
You once got him to get you Gone with the Wind book. The Gone with the Wind book. Do you remember that book?
Yes, you have it.
Yes, I do.
That was my first. How did I get that? You know, when you're young, you're silly. I said, oh, it's my birthday. Just like he goes and buys Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. It wasn't her birthday. It wasn't your birthday, was it, Grandma?
And I had a nice mother-in-law, too.
Yeah.
I had a good life.
You still do.
Not a rich life.
Oh,
But somehow
you know
or
what?
other,
Rich is
along the
relative.
way, we made 3 or 4 good choices of investing. And we reinvested everything, the dividends. And that's why I'm here.
good. But when it comes to rich, I don't attribute rich to money. You had a rich life because of everything you
good
had in
life.
your life.
I
And
did.
at the end of the day, you can't
But
take
he
money
worked
with
very,
you.
he
but-
worked, he had his regular job, came home at night, went to another job, and Saturday and Sunday he was a photographer at weddings. He worked hard.
Mm-hmm. You were going to tell a story about Aunt Judy at her wedding dress?
Did you tell him?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Judy gets married at 4. She was over 40 also. And we went from one place to another to get a gown. One day, Marilyn says, her friend's daughter says if Judy could fit into her gown, it's a beautiful gown, she could have it. So Judy tries it on. It's made for her. She fit beautifully. It was the coldest night in January that year. It was written up for you forever. So we had the wedding, it was beautiful. Going home, Judy says, you know what, I'll take the gown and you take the train. So Judy went with Len wherever they went, and I went home. The next day, I tell Marilyn, I see Marilyn, I made a breakfast. And after the breakfast, we went to Jeffrey's house. And Marilyn came, that's Pearl's daughter. She said, you know, the train is missing.
Uh-oh.
How could it be missing? Either I had the train or she had the dress. So we couldn't understand what happened. And here they were way already on their honeymoon. A friend of mine from New York came in for the wedding, and we took her to LaGuardia. And on the way home, I said to her, let's stop at the motel where we stood. He says, leave me alone already. It's gone, that's it. I don't want to stop. I said, you have to stop. We have to try. I walk in sheepishly. I said, did anybody leave a dress here? It was a dress. Did anyone leave a dress here? He goes into the closet and brings out
Oh, thank God.
Imagine what would I have done to replace a wedding gown? You go through all crazy things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the coldest night. And the temple was not heated. It's a miracle people didn't get sick.
Oh, wow.
And my mother-in-law was 100 years old then. And she came to the wedding.
Yeah, I remember that.
How she survived, I don't know. But she had good stock.
She was
lived
tough.
to 109
109.
and 3/4.
Is
In
she,
3/4.
is she like listed as one of the oldest people ever? Like, is she in Guinness
She was
Book
a
of World
nice
Records?
She was a nice lady.
She was a busy woman. She was
That
not
was
one
the
to sit
dress.
on her butt and do nothing. No.
That's life.
Yeah. You're still living it. You're still doing it, Grandma.
Well, if they're not here by 4:30, let them meet us at the restaurant.
All right, that works for me. That works for me.
Well, it's only 3:30, so.
So, what was Dad like as a teenager?
He was a very nice boy, very quiet. He was a quiet man. Jeffrey was more aggressive.
Yeah. What about Aunt Judy? How did she fit in with the two boys? Did they get along? All three of them get along together?
Yeah, they got along nicely.
They didn't team up on Aunt Judy?
Huh?
They didn't team up to, annoy
Tease her.
their little sister?
Is she the baby?
She's the
No.
baby.
They got along. No sibling rivalry.
No? Okay.
There was no even sibling rivalry with my sister's two daughters. They were one daughter's the same age as Jeffrey.
Which one?
Jeffrey
And Mar. Oh, okay. I never know these things. So you and Aunt Pearl shared a bed, and you shared a room with Uncle Sam.
I told you we shared a bed.
I know. I'm just wrapping my brain around this thought.
And we had a cot in front of the bed. So that's what Uncle
So you
Sam
grew up in a 2-bedroom house?
No, not in that. We were in an apartment. then.
Apartment.
We lived on the east side of. We lived in Brooklyn then, because I was born on the east side of New York. Your children don't even know these things.
Well, that's why I'm asking the questions.
You have everything on a silver platter.
Yeah. You want to tell a story of when I would sing in and
When she was about 6, Tomorrow was the song. And every time she would come in, my friends would hear, Alyssa sing. Alyssa sing. But we do the same thing. My sister has a great grandchild that sings. And we did that to her last week. So she sang the song from Les Mis. And she did it beautifully. She must be about 7, 8, the most.
Mm-hmm.
If that, there's one older than her.
They have Gabrielle in theater classes now.
And she wants it, and she wants singing lessons,
Mhm.
and she's getting it.
Good for her. Good for her.
But Alyssa sang beautifully. And did you tell them the play that you were in, where you had the dish towel over your shoulder?
Oh my God. Did not. You remember that? The dish towel over my shoulder. I can't even remember that. Oh my God. I forgot that you went to those things. Was Dad ever into theater growing up? Was Dad ever into theater? What was he into in high school?
He was once in a play. He was in the Over the Rainbow. He was the tall fellow.
He was a scarecrow?
The scarecrow.
Dad, if he only had a brain. So appropriate. He sang? My father sang?
No, they must have talked or something. In his quiet way, he got there. He was a dean, by the way, at one time. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. I did know that.
Imagine having Dean.
My father was I remember you telling me that. What was Aunt Judy like growing up? What was Aunt Judy like growing up?
Ordinary. Nothing out of it. She had
Was ordinary?
friends. She had friends.
Okay.
Oh, you
Hey,
bring us
Dad.
dinner?
Hello.